Today we'll be looking at the basics of algebra. Here we can see 3 plus something is equal to 7, 4 take away something is equal to 2, 3 times something is equal to 12. And we know the answer is fairly simple in these cases, so we know 3 plus 4 is 7, 4 minus 2 is 2, and 3 times 4 is 12. So we know what the unknown is. So each of these boxes, question marks, or underlines are what we call unknowns. Now in algebra, we represent unknowns by using letters, and we can use any letter in the alphabet. We tend not to use O and L because O can be confused with a 0 and L can be confused with a 1. Now depending on the font that's used, sometimes the L can be distinguished. So if you write 2L like this, that clearly looks like 21. But if you write 2L like this, you can tell that it's an algebraic letter. So depending on the font that's used on your paper, you can see whether it's an algebraic letter or the number 1, but we tend to stay away from L if we can. But otherwise you can use any letter in the alphabet. If we have the letter A and we add another A to it, because the A's are the same thing, we now have 2 lots of A. So this means 2 times A. And you can see that there is no sign between the 2 and the A. So in algebra, we tend not to write the multiplication sign. So if you saw something like 5B, that would mean 5 times B. In this case here, we've got A plus A plus A. And that is 3 lots of A, so we simply write it as 3A. So now if we had 3A plus 2A, you have 3 lots of A added to 2 lots of A, which gives you 5A. So if we split the 3A, we have A plus A plus A. We've got the operation there, and here we have A plus A, and you can see that's the same as 5A. Now if you had 3A take away A, well, once again you have A plus A plus A, and you're taking away A, and we can see the answer is 2 lots of A. Now when you don't have a number in front of the algebraic letter, the number is always 1. We tend not to write the 1 in front of letters in algebra. If we have something like 3A plus 4A take away 2A, what we have now is we have something called a term. And there are 3 terms in this expression, and an expression is an algebraic statement that has no equal sign. So we have the A term, we have an A term in the middle, and we have an A term on the right hand side, the minus 2A. Because they're all A terms, they're like terms. So we can add them or subtract them. So 3 lots of A plus 4 lots of A gives me 7A, and 7 lots of A take away 2 lots of A gives me 5A. And now you have done something called simplification. So you have simplified that particular expression. Let's try another one. Let's say we had 4B plus 3A minus B plus 2A. Now in this case, I have B terms and A terms. So I'm going to circle my B terms, including the sign, and I'll circle my A terms, including the sign. And now I'm going to work with just the B's. 4 lots of B take away 1 lot of B gives me 3B, and 3 lots of A plus 2 lots of A gives me 5A, and I've now simplified that expression. But this isn't a video on how to simplify expressions, it's about the basics of algebra, and I just wanted to touch on that to show you what terms were and how we work with terms in terms of adding or subtracting. But there is another video called Simplifying Expressions on our channel. Please take a look at that as well if you need a more in-depth introduction to simplifying expressions. Let's look at multiplication. So if you have A times A, that gives us A squared. So how does that work? Well, 3 times 3 we know is 9. But that can also be represented by 3 squared. And likewise, if we had 4 times 4 times 4, that is 4 cubed. So if we have a times a times a, that gives me a cubed. If we had c times c times c, that would give me c cubed. And remember, an a and a b are different. So if we multiply a by b, we are simply left with ab. Because remember, we don't use a multiplication sign between algebraic letters or between numbers and letters, because we know that that is a multiplication. So if I had a times b, I know that my a times a happens to be a squared, and that is all multiplied by b. So if you had 2a times 3a, 2 times 3 gives you 6, and a times a, we can see from the top, gives you a squared. If you had 3a times 2a times 2b, well, now we've got 3 times 2 is 6, 6 times 2 is 12, a times a is a squared, and that's all multiplied by b, and that's how you would write that there. Let's have a look at these and see what they actually mean. So we have ab squared for the first one, so we know that is a times b squared, which is the same as a times b times b. If we look at 3p squared q, that is 3 times p times p times q. And if we look at 4pq a squared c, that is simply 4 times p times q times a times a times c. Now if we look at division, if we have a over b, that is the same as a divided by b. So if we have 2a over b, that is the same as 2a divided by b. So in algebra, we tend to write a divided by b, or ta divided by b, as a fractional term, because it's much easier to work with. So we don't normally write the division sign, we always write it over a fraction. So if you saw something like 4cq over 3a, that simply means 4cq divided by 3a. That's all I want to do on divisions for today. I will cover divisions in more depth in a later video. So that was a very simple introduction to the basics of algebra. Do check back on our channel for other videos. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. You'll be notified of any new videos that we release. We do release videos on a weekly basis. And hit that like icon and leave a comment in the comment section if you'd like to see other videos as well. Thanks for watching.